Hi everybody, welcome back to the Desmo Works channel. So apologies, it's been a few weeks since I've done the last video. Summer, so had a holiday to Italy. Didn't go to the Ducati factory unfortunately, doing that next January. So back on with the engine change on the 1199 today. So if you remember in the first video, took all the bodywork off, got it down to the state that it is now, ready to go. And I was going to do the exhaust and the radiator first, but what I've decided, following feedback on a couple of other videos where I tend to work on the bikes in the way I like to, what I'm going to try to do for this strip down, in case you're following this as a series, is strip the bike in the way that the manual states. So I've got it down to the bare frame. I'm now going to follow the manual steps to get to the engine position where we can swap the engine over, and they take a slightly different approach to it. So they take all of the seat unit, electrics and everything like that off before they get down to the nitty-gritty of removing bits like the radiators and the exhaust. So I just felt it'd be better to follow the manual, so that if you want to do it formally yourself, I'm then taking the correct steps, not the way I like to do it, which I do tend to cut a few corners because I've done it a few times and I just like to do it the way I like to do it. Okay, so where we're at today. So if you remember in the last video, we got all of the bodywork off and we're left with the bike in its naked state. I have drained down the radiators. That is done via a little screw in the bottom of the radiator just here. Still a little bit there. It's just water in there, no coolant, because it's a race stroke track bike, so it gets changed quite regularly. If you're just doing a straightforward coolant change, that's how you drain the bike. Little bolt in the centre of the lower radiator, take the cap off so there's no airlock and it will just drain out into the bottom there. So first steps under the official manual way of getting rid of the engine, which we're changing over. We need to remove the tail unit first. So first steps, I've got to disconnect the wiring loom. Once I've disconnected the wiring loom from the traction control system and the like, I can then start taking off the bolts that hold the subframe off, and then we'll pull the subframe away. So let's get on with that then first. So first things first, fuel tank has come off. Where we've taken the fuel tank off, I now need to disconnect the main wiring loom connection, which sits just here. You've got then the two cables that go out to the electronic suspension, and then I need to undo the BBS connector underneath here. It will then be a case of undoing the little clips that hold the loom in place and just move that out of the way. I then need to remove the vertical cylinder lambda sensor, which has been routed incorrectly by whoever's put the bike back together, because this actually should be outside of the seat unit and should be tied down the bottom. So I've got to disconnect that from the electrics just beside the right hand side of the air box and then just route that back through. So let's get that done quickly. Vertical cylinder lambda sensor should have been routed up via this way into the connection that sits in there, but for some reason somebody stuck it through there. We've taken off main loom connector, that's the fuel tank that we took off when we did the bodywork, and then the BB unit and the pieces for the suspension. So we just hold that out of the way on the airbox piece. Now to get the seat unit frame off, there's one bolt here and the same on the other side, and then one bolt here and again the same on the other side. So this needs a special connection, so that's this needs a special tool, so let's just grab a special size tool and then we'll take those off. Right, just got to take this last bolt out, but I need to support the seat unit as it comes out. As you can see, it's completely loose now, so I'm just going to reposition the camera back up on top of the air box, and then I'll take this off. Okay, so seat unit's away, and we've now got the rear vertical cylinder exposed. You can just see where the tail unit mounts, one bolt there, the other bolt over on the left side, and then just to the left and right rear side of the airbox. So quite a clever mounting system, using the engine as effectively as a stressed member. So next step in the manual is to remove the rear wheel. So as with every Ducati, he says, retaining clip comes off, and let's buzz this guy off with the impact gun. Rear wheels off. Bike is supported on a paddock stand at the moment, so next step we need to do is we need to start disconnecting the loom on this side of the bike. So the first action I've got to do is disconnect the regulator rectifier. So you've got the input from the generator and then the output to the battery sat there. So let's just undo those. Is to remove the securing pin for the left hand electronics frame block. So that just single, and then we're going to disconnect, the ignition, which is just on this connector block here. So doing that has exposed another screw, so we're just going to undo the second screw that holds all of the electric box in. Then we have one more bolt for the left hand electrical support assembly to come out, so just do that. Now that the support system's all loose, we've got the map sensor there. What I need to do is just inside, what I've got to do is disconnect that pipe from the horizontal head, so I'm just going to do that now. Once that was all taken off, so horizontal map pickup and then the vertical, the manual says just to pull it forward and support it across the front of the radiator and then just off the handlebar, and you don't need to take any of the other electrics off. Okay, now that we've got the left hand side out of the way, electrical support, sorry, out of the way, we're going to disconnect the quick shifter, which is this connection here, and cut away the clips, and the water temperature sensor is going to be disconnected. Then the next job is to remove the lower radiator hose. Now I've already drained the water out, so this should be empty, but it's a case of bottom clip there and the top clip just inside there. Okay, so let's do those couple of bits and pieces. And following getting the lower hose out, just got to now get this top one out. So one Jubilee clip there and one just here by the radiator. So let's get that done. Okay, water hoses are off. Now we just need to remove the clutch slave cylinder. So it's 3 Allen headed bolts. And all I've done is I've just put that round and held that out of the way because it's all tie wrapped in with the loom. So it's all tie wrapped in with the loom there, so we'll just move that out of the way. Next job is we're going to take off the battery mount but leaving the loom intact. So we've got to take one bolt off there, one bolt off there, and then one under here. You need to be careful with this lower one because the battery ground terminals sit against that, so be very careful when you loosen it and tighten it because you can obviously do damage to this grounding cable that sits there. Okay, let's get that off one quickly. Okay, so that's the battery box loose and off. Just leave that to one side for the moment. Okay, next job is to undo the solenoid bracket itself. So this is the next bit that the loom's all tied to, as you can see. So let's just move that generator cable out of the way. Yeah, so there's two 8mm nuts on there. We'll just take them off quickly. That's the whole battery box and lower loom disconnected. I'm just going to tie wrap that up against the main electrical support as well, so it's out of the way. And that means we've now cleared most of the stuff from the left hand side of the engine, so it's looking quite good at the moment. Okay, now the side stand comes off, 2 bolts. So left hand side electric's done, right hand electrical support. So first thing we need to do, get the ECU out of the way. So one little retaining pin up here, or sorry, bolt, and then we'll just take that out and leave it wired in. Just do that quickly. Okay, so removing the ECU, which we've just left plugged in, exposes the 3 bolts that we need to undo so that we can loosen off the right hand electrical support. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. Now we're in here as well, I need to disconnect the rear wheel speed sensor and the vertical coil connection. So easiest way to do that is just to pull them out slightly. So let's go ahead and do that. So that's the right hand support, just moved out of the way. Again, supported on the right hand handlebar. Took the vertical cylinder coil out. Sorry, HT lead and plug cap. Let's get it right, Adam. Here you can see coil drive connection and the speed sensor connection just disconnected. Is removing the injector connection, loom connection, the air sensor loom connection, pressure switch, and then this connection here as well, so we can move this whole loom piece to the side as well. Okay, so let's get that done as well. Okay, so that is the right hand electrical support all disconnected, and the loom that's attached with it, as you can see here, all disconnected. What we're starting to get to now is the physical mechanicals of removing the engine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this video quits here. As you can see, we've done quite a bit of work. We've removed the seat unit that was sat on here. We've removed all of the left hand side electricals plus the water pipes to the radiators, and we've removed the right hand side electricals. All of this has been done so that we can effectively remove the front end in its entirety. So we'll be taking off radiators and other bits and pieces in the next videos, but as you can see, this is quite an involved process to get us to this stage. So as always, thanks for watching. If you've got any questions or comments on anything that we've done to get to the bike to this stage, then please feel free to ask below. If you're not a subscriber, we'd really welcome you to the channel, and I'd like to say hello to all our current and new subscribers that have been joining us in quite good numbers recently. Welcome to the channel, and if you like the video, chuck us a like down below. Okay, thanks for watching. See you at the next video. Cheers then. Bye.